back to Product Data Weekly. This is a short, practical podcast where each week we break down one operational issue that slows launches, creates manual work, or quietly limits growth inside product data and e-commerce teams. No theory, no hype, just what actually happens inside catalogs at scale. I'm Claire, I am co-founder of SKU Launch and Start With Data, and with me we have...
Hey everyone, it's Ben here again. Lovely to be chatting about another topic with you, Claire.
Okay, so Ben, tell us, what are we chatting about today?
So today we thought we might talk about the hottest topic in e-commerce, which is generative engine optimization, or GEO. It's like the new SEO, SEO for 2026. Basically, it means how you make your product pages and your product data visible to AI search. So for those that have been like living under a stone for the last 2 years, that's like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI overviews, Claude. Basically, these AI search agents are becoming much more prevalent, and I think traffic's massively up. What we thought we'd do is just really talk about kind of 3 actionable things you can actually do right now to make your product pages visible to AI search. We've just a bit of context. We've run quite a lot of AI readiness audits recently, haven't we, across a whole bunch of industries actually. Yep. Automation, medical, educational supplies, building supplies. Basically any industry that relies on like structured product data and content. So we just see the same things every time, don't we? All right, so one of the biggest issues we found in these audits is basically that a lot of product data exists in like a CMS or a PIM in some cases, but it's not actually in the HTML on a product page. And if you think about the things that should be in the HTML on a product page, they're things like descriptive product title, written description, tech specs, and not putting these things behind like a kind of a JavaScript tab or a widget or something. And also, we also saw a lot of things around variants not being surfaced well. And the reason this stuff is important is because if your product data is not structured and visible in an easy to kind of source way by a lot of these scraping bots and things, crawlers, then it basically, it's almost, in a way, it's like the data itself is invisible, right? And if you're invisible, it's less likely you're going to get indexed, it's less likely you're going to get indexed in the LLMs, and therefore like surfaced in these new kind of search experiences, really. And with just a couple of real examples, like for example Shopify, if you're a Shopify seller, you're using Shopify, it's actually really good to load product descriptions not in third-party apps that load them dynamically. So we see this a lot. It's like some of the widgets on product pages kind of load dynamically. And the thing is, like, some of these crawlers do index JavaScript content, but they kind of deprioritize it because it's slower to load, and sometimes it gets indexed slower and that sort of thing. So, you can talk to your development team about server-side rendering. You can do a quick test, look at, you could do like a view page source. So can you actually read your product info? It's amazing how many sites just don't render the content and the data on the product page unless the customer loads the page. So that's kind of tip 1, really. That's like a foundation, and really then you can build kind of everything on top of that, I think.
Okay, and then tip number 2, so product schema. Do you want to talk a little bit more about why? Sure. Why schemas aren't surfaced by LLMs?
So basically, just building on the first tip, like if a really good way of thinking about your product page content is if it's not readable in a natural language, then it's probably not readable in a machine language. One of the ways that you can solve this is by adding product schema into your actual page structure. So product schema, it doesn't actually feed directly into LLMs, kind of in the way that Google search indexes content. But what it does is it kind of strengthens the signals that AI systems pick. It feeds into Google's index, merchant center, shopping feeds, knowledge panels, and basically it's one of the main sources that AI draws from when it retrieves and synthesizes answers. So systems and like Gemini and Perplexity, they cross-reference a lot of these product signals, right, from like different sources.
Yep.
So ultimately, if you've got your product page kind of marked up with product schema and your page content's visible, AI is more likely to trust and surface your product.
It's trusted, and it's giving it more context, right? To then be able to say, okay, no, I'm certain that this is a good answer. Yeah. Okay.
And is there would you say there's like a kind of minimum list of fields that you should be kind of marking?
It definitely name, like product title, brand, description, obviously images, product codes, MPNs, depending on what type of business, and then regulatory compliance info, materials, you would be expecting to see in there.
Yeah. So if you want to understand a bit more about, like, for example, Google's product schema, you can just go to their Search Central documentation and just go Google product schema, and it will tell you a bit about how you implement it, what you need to include, all of that sort of stuff.
And because there's some e-commerce platforms like WooCommerce and Shopify, they have their own schema.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's like it generates it itself, right?
I think so, but not what you need, not necessarily successfully. So that's kind of one of the things you do need to do as well. You need to like validate it. So you go and load your pages, validate that the schema is being applied, validate that the content is being loaded and rendered. Basically just, if you're using plugins, just test everything. Test everything really well, because a lot of these plugins, they tend to you assume that they're working and therefore they're being applied to like every product page on your website, and you can imagine the impact of if they're not working correctly. So that's kind of tip 2, isn't it, really? It's like add product schema to your product pages.
And then tip 3, again, I think it's just building on that context, which would be writing content that answers questions. So what you're seeing now with a lot of the way that people are searching, they're not necessarily searching for a red pair of shoes. They're searching for very specific type of use case of how they're going to use it, what qualities they want in it is that they're looking to buy. So the more context that you can give within that product page will then, again, it'll surface your results a lot easier.
It's quite similar to like the back in the day when ratings and reviews first came onto the scene. User generated content was all about like context of a product in terms of its usage and relevance to different situations, and like I don't know, in apparel it's like season and style and where you would wear it and in what context, and it's just the same for any type of product, really. So like you said, Claire, like that content is a really good opportunity to surface that, and we see things like use case paragraphs, like who is this for, what's it solving, comparison language, like compared to this it's better, or for a different application. And then FAQs, that's one we see quite a lot, because FAQ, it's amazing how many questions you can answer on a product page. All of that data gets indexed. Even things like image alt text, because that's the other thing as well, is like obviously models, like images are processed as part of a part of the LLM knowledge base and stuff, so they can often include a lot of information well. So I think we saw in a lot of our audits that the highest scoring pages, they always had this kind of narrative, right, around it, as well as the tech specs and the data sheet and the image and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of also the other shifts that we're seeing as well is that historically, I think businesses, I think especially brands, have tried to make their product pages really beautiful and kind of airy-fairy with a lot of the language that's on there. And that's actually very confusing for AI. So the more direct that you can be will mean that it is able to understand what it is that you're selling a lot easier. So, it's like, what is it, that On brand or something that, the shoe brand, they say things like walking on clouds, which that's fine, but a lightweight, comfortable shoe would actually probably be a lot better for AI to understand. I mean, that's a very like napping.
I want a shoe that's like walking on clouds.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to search for that, right? So the more kind of direct product information that you can build out in those longer form pieces will definitely be better.
I was just going to add as well, like on the content side, I mean, to be honest with you, there's not really any excuse anymore not to be able to generate long form content. There's a huge, even with just the native tooling, with some of the frontier LLM models now, you can pump out content for each of your products like very quickly. So just make sure you've got like structured foundational data to.
Well, there you go. That's what it comes back to. And I think that's the thing. If you've got the data there, LLMs can work really well and kind of picking that up and putting some really good context on your pages. So do a quick recap. So we said static HTML. So you could go as far to say if AI can't read it with JavaScript, it doesn't exist. I mean, it can read it because it can surface it, but it makes it really difficult.
Yeah, just make it really easy.
Exactly.
To read it.
Product schemas, so it should be structured, machine readable, validated, and consistent. That gives the AI, again, good context and structure to understand where your product fits into that particular search. And then question answering content, so use cases, comparison, FAQs, alt text. Every paragraph should almost stand alone as an answer, so that it's just feeding a lot more context to the AI. We run these audits. If you'd like to send over some links for any of your product pages, you can reach out to Ben or myself and we can get that set up for you. But this is also something that these three things that you can go and look at on your pages and run some prompts and see what it can